Hi crafty friends! Today, because I couldn't decide, we've got two cards. Now this is brought about because it was what I call a happy accident. Now I was playing around with some of the reinkers and I thought I had too much colour left on my baby wipe when I'd finished, so I just decided to wipe it off onto some cardstock and I was really happy with the result. So this will be the first one that we're making today. So this card uses the Thoughtful Branches bundle. So I've used the stamp set and the die cuts and some of the Serene Scenery DSP paper stack. Okay, so to start this, we need some of the Stampin' Up! Reinkers. I'm going to be using Cajun Craze, Crumb Cake, and for our other one, we're going to also be adding the Always Artichoke and Wild Wasabi. Okay, so we'll start by just a couple of drops. Okay, so I've got the ink onto the baby wipe. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a sheet of, this is just a quarter of an A4 sheet of Whisper White cardstock. And I'm going to grab my baby wipe. Now I like to pull it down the page. So going like this, and I can go back if I like, if I want to intensify the colour a little bit. And this is the result that I'm given. Okay, so once I've done that one, I just set that aside to dry. And then I'm going to take my other baby wipe. Now with this one, I'm going to use the Wild Wasabi. The Always Artichoke. And I'm going to pop in a little bit of Crumb Cake into that one as well. Okay. So now I'm going to grab my branches or the leaves stamp from the Thoughtful Branches stamp set. And okay, so once I've got this inked up, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to be smearing this ink all the way along. So I've just cut out my pieces which are going to form the tree of my card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the leaves onto here. So there we go. So we've got our leaves onto our card and I stamp that with Wild Wasabi. So now all I need to do is to put the card together. So to ink around the edges, I'm going to use that same baby wipe that I've used to make our pattern paper for our tree. And I'm just going to run this just roughly. So I've got that now. So I'm just going to grab some tape. And I'm going to pop it onto the back of my Serene Scenery DSP. Now, the way that I've put the card together, I've just offset these two. So you have a play and see how you like it, how you want it to be. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to only take the backing off one of the pattern papers. Okay, so I'm going to use the gold 1/8 of an inch ribbon and I'm just going to measure a section that will go across the width of the card. And now all I'm going to do, put a little bit more tear and tape down here on the sides of the card. And then I'm going to grab my tag, which I have cut out of the tags and labels framelits. And let's see which way. There we go. And now, let's see, like that. Run it so that it's roughly horizontal, that the ribbon runs horizontal, and then fold that over at the back. Okay, now I just simply take off the backing off here and place this down onto our card front. Okay, so now we need to place our tree down. So to do that, I'm going to grab my Tombow glue and I'm going to put a bit of glue onto the branches of my tree. Now, because this is extremely strong glue, I only need a few dots in. I don't know if you can see that. I've only got a few drops of glue on there. Okay, so I'm going to place this over the top of my ribbon and have that so we can see it poke through. Now, if there's any places that aren't playing nice, just lift them up and give it a dot of glue and then push it down again. Okay, now what I've done here is I have raised the leaves up with dimensionals. Now I like to grab these little edge pieces that run along the edge of the Stampin' Dimensionals, and I use them up. So I just cut them a little bit smaller, and the same thing, it doesn't need to go everywhere, just a few pieces. Whoop. This one wants to stick everywhere except the paper. And a couple more. Okay, so I'll pop one up here and another one in the middle. Okay, so I take off my backing. Nearly there. Right, and one more. Okay, so when I've got that right, I'm going to place that over the top of our tree branches. Now we're just about there. So I've made a bow using my trusty craft room fork by going around that way. I think every craft room needs a fork. There, and then I can just do a simple over and under knot. Okay. Okay, so tighten that, snip it, and we have a bow. Now I'll grab a glue dot for the back of my bow. Now, for our sentiment, I've used the Weather Together stamp set. It's a photopolymer. So we've got the nice clear stamps. Now, just using my Memento black ink, I place my greeting down there. Now to finish it off, I'm going to grab some diamantes and a couple of enamel accents. Okay, so there you have it. There's one card. Now, to finish off our other card, all we have to do here, so this is the card that we're going to finish off now, and there is that card. So we grab a base, which is Cajun Craze, my card base. Then I've got my first matte layer in Tip Top Taupe, and that's going to come on here. Now here's our green that we smeared our reinkers over using the baby white technique. So what I'm going to use is, first up to build our layers, I'm going to pop a couple of Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of here. So I've got my dimensionals there. Now I'm going to stamp my sentiment here. So I'm using the Thoughtful Branches stamp set there, and I'm going to use the Archival Black for this. The reason I'm using Archival Black and not the Memento Black is we've used the dye-based inks to form our background. Now when we use the Archival, it's an oil-based ink. Now that will tend to sit over the top of our background a lot better and give a sharper image. So anywhere in the sort of top right quadrant, and just always hold it for a little bit, and there you are. Now we'll fasten that down onto our Tip Top Taupe layer with just a bit of Tombow. Okay, so when we've got this, we're going to take our mini striped ribbon in the Tip Top Taupe, and I like to use the tear and tape adhesive for this one. Now that's roughly, let's see, that's about 7 inches long, and this one should be about 5.5. So I'm going to form my little faux bow, we'll call it. And I'm doing a over-under knot here. Okay. Now to form the matching tails, like you can see on here, I bring my ribbon up together, so I hold it together and then fold it in half. And from there, I cut that, and there you are. We have perfectly even for the OCD in all of us. Now I'm going to layer, make sure that's even, and then I just tuck these here around the back. So now I can take off the backing of my dimensionals. Always make sure that your card's opening the right way, because all of us have at some point or another stuck our card front on the wrong way. Okay, so now using our die cut images from the Sunshine Wishes Thinlits die. Now what I've done is I've cut my flower die, and I just trim down one of the petals. So the largest petal here I'm going to trim down, so I find it easier to come this way, and then I take that off. So now I've got a mirror image of one another. So from here now I just put glue only on this section here. and I'll show you why in just a minute. So I'll put that one there, and I'll just glue down the other one. Okay. Okay. So the reason I only glue in the center, I love dimension. So I like to just give these a little bit of movement. So I'm going to take the Cajun ones and I'll just place these down, and this last one here. Okay, so we've got this. Now that everything's had a bit of a chance to dry, what I like to do is to come back to my cards, and using the wink of Stella, I just, all over the place, just brush over it. If you find your brush tends to dry out a bit, pop the cap back on, give it another shake, and you'll find that it's wet the bristles again. So I go over there, and now I'm going to just place a little bit along here. Now if you want, you can always grab a marker and or you can use a pen. And we can draw a couple of antennae that go along there. So there you have it. Very easy cards made using baby wipes and some reinker, and you're going to have a one-of-a-kind card. I'll catch you later next time, guys. Happy crafting. Bye.